OES, right? So our mission today is pretty clear. We need to unpack these, frankly, huge claims surrounding what they're calling a magnificent AI-driven empire. We're talking about a system that's supposedly designed to revolutionize, well, almost everything you do online. Earning, communicating, selling, growing a business, all of it. This isn't just, another product launch. This is us trying to really get under the hood of what the OES is. How do its 8 core parts, these pillars, supposedly work? And are the early adopters right? Is this really the dawn of a new digital empire? It sounds like a lot. So we need to really dig into the details, the actual mechanics.
Absolutely. And getting that context right is it's vital here. Because if you look at the digital world right now, I mean, things are changing incredibly fast. The sources we looked at, they make it really clear. Competition today isn't just about having a slightly better app. It's about the whole infrastructure. Seems like only companies that are innovating with, deeply integrated cutting-edge tech, especially AI, are really going to stick around and grow. And ONPASSIVE Technologies, they claim the OES is set to do way more than just grow. They actually want to redefine how individuals and businesses operate online by, well, fixing some pretty big underlying problems.
Exactly. And the key thing we need to grasp right from the start is just the sheer scope and the integration aspect. Our sources really hammer this point home. This isn't just a new video app over here and a digital wallet over there. No, it's pitched as a single unified system. It combines your work tools, how you earn, communications, selling stuff, growing your reach, all on one platform. The core problem it's aiming to solve is that fragmented feeling we all have online, right? And the security risks that come with it. Juggling all those different platforms, different logins, paying more and more subscriptions just to get basic stuff done.
Yeah, the sources actually call that fragmentation the digital tax. It's a good way to put it.
Right.
Every time you switch between apps, you lose a bit of efficiency, you open yourself up to maybe another security vulnerability, and yeah, you pay another fee. The OES vision basically is to get rid of that tax altogether, put everything under one supposedly very secure roof.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning, the vision. I mean, whenever you talk about something this massive, this all-encompassing, you have to look at the person driving it, and that's Ashmu Faris. So what's the core idea? What's the philosophy pushing this whole thing forward? And importantly, how does that philosophy supposedly give it an edge in the market?
Well, the sources are pretty explicit about Mufara's goal. They frame it as technology should serve humanity, not, the other way around. And they insist this isn't just some marketing fluff. It's supposedly the actual logic behind how the OES is designed. The core intent seems focused on empowering ordinary people and smaller businesses, giving them access to powerful tools that are simpler, more streamlined, and this is key, automatically optimized using AI. It's about creating, or trying to create, real financial opportunities and sustainable income, especially for individuals and smaller players globally.
Okay, and that connects directly to the problems it's trying to fix, right? The pain points in the current system. When you look at the big tech companies now, the sources suggest they lack an ecosystem with a heart. What does that mean in practice? What's the OES specifically aiming to do differently compared to, say, Google or Meta?
It really digs into issues of integrity, inclusivity, and security, especially around how our data is used or maybe misused. The way things work now often involves breaking up user data, which leads to that targeted feeling, sometimes exploitation, lots of fraud, data theft. These problems are arguably worse because everything's so spread out, so fragmented. The courses state very clearly that the OES is designed specifically to fight these issues. How? By being a single, trusted place where the user's well-being is supposedly the priority, not just selling ads based on their data.
But hold on. Building a centralized digital empire that immediately raises flags, right? Centralization usually means control. How does this humanity-first idea actually translate into the ODS architecture? How do they avoid just becoming another big, controlling walled garden?
That's a fair question. And the answer, according to the sources, lies in the architectural design itself. They highlight 3 main principles. First is automation and pervasive AI. So, yes, automation for the boring, repetitive stuff. We expect that. But it's the AI making decisions across all the integrated tools from customer service with OChat to sales tracking in OTracker that's supposed to really boost efficiency. The claim is the AI learns from the whole ecosystem, making every single tool smarter over time. Second, there's this concept they call a zero competition space.
Okay, that sounds a bit like marketing steak, doesn't it? Zero competition.
It does sound like it initially, yeah. But the sources define it more as a kind of collaborative economic model that's built into how affiliates and commissions work. So instead of everyone fighting tooth and nail for the same customers or the same slice of the market, the idea is that member success is linked. It's mutually beneficial. When the whole ecosystem grows, every member who's participating supposedly gets a share of that growth.
I still need to push back on that a bit. Zero competition. Even with shared incentives, resources aren't infinite. How does the OES structure actually make it feel non-competitive? Is it just a really clever shared growth plan? Or is there some mechanism, maybe legal or economic, that structurally removes the competition?
It seems to function through a very broad reward system that's tied to the global revenue of the platform. So yes, individual users might compete, say, to sell products on OShop, that's normal. But the sources stress that the potentially bigger reward comes from the growth of the entire platform membership, the whole ecosystem. And they repeatedly claim the platform uses automated tools to bring customers to the users, which helps level the playing field. So the focus kind of shifts, or is meant to shift, from just aggressive individual marketing to more collaborative expansion of the whole system.
Okay, so maybe less zero competition and more
Okay.
like highly incentivized collaboration backed by automated marketing, which, I mean, that's still a huge claim in itself. What's the third principle holding the structure up?
The third one is the trust infrastructure. This is absolutely critical. The whole system is apparently built to level the playing field, especially for entrepreneurs, by creating a trusted global network where every user is verified. This happens through a specific tool called O-Verify. By getting rid of anonymity and making sure everyone's identity is checked, the sources claim they basically eliminate most of the ways fraudsters and bad actors can operate. The goal is to make commerce and networking safe right from the very first interaction.
All right, let's get into the real nuts and bolts now. Our sources lay out these 8 major products, and crucially, they're supposed to be seamlessly integrated. The success of this whole empire idea really hinges on whether these 8 pillars actually work as advertised, especially together. So let's unpack the complexity and the competitive claims for each one.
Yeah, this is where the magnificence, as they call it, is really defined. The challenge, the technical challenge is huge. Getting things like video conferencing, e-commerce, banking, AI analytics, all to work perfectly together in one proprietary system. That's incredibly difficult. Hashtag A. Communication and social connectivity.
Let's start with communication, where most businesses live day to day. We've got O-Connect, the communication revolution. The sources position this squarely against the big players, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet. What are the specific technical hurdles it needs to overcome to even match their stability and, low latency on a global scale? That's the baseline, isn't it?
That is absolutely the core question. Global stability, low latency. That's table stakes for video conferencing now. OConnect's claimed differentiation, according to what we've read, comes down to 3 main AI features that are meant to be very active, not just add-ons.
Okay, which are?
First, AI-driven translations. Real-time, supporting multiple languages, and apparently built into the core, not just a bolt-on plugin. Second, advanced noise cancellation. Supposedly goes beyond the usual filters and actively adapts to whatever background noise is happening.
Yeah.
But the one that really jumps out is the real-time engagement analytics.
Explain that analytics part more. How is that supposed to work? What's it analyzing?
So OConnect apparently doesn't just track who showed up. The sources suggest the AI analyzes things like nonverbal cues, maybe attention levels, participation rates, focus drift, stuff like that. And it generates these engagement scores for everyone during the meeting. Then this data gets fed instantly to another tool, O-Tracker. Now imagine you're running a big virtual training or a sales pitch.
Okay.
This could give you immediate actionable feedback on how well you're doing, how engaged people are. That kind of insight is usually reserved for really high-end specialized event platforms.
Wow, okay. That is a major potential differentiator. If the tech can handle it, the processing power needed for all that simultaneously for potentially thousands of users, it's immense. The claimed impact, then, is that businesses could run their entire virtual office just using the OES, saving a lot on costs.
Precisely. If you unify the communication and the analytics and other tools, you potentially eliminate the need for all those expensive, separate, third-party subscriptions.
Okay, next up, moving from video calls to messaging. We have OPAL, the social hub, described as a secure messenger, sort of like WhatsApp. But the big focus here is on privacy, security, and crucially, zero ads.
Yeah, that zero ad promise is really key. It signals that OPAL's business model is fundamentally different from platforms like WhatsApp, right? Which is owned by Meta and deeply tied into advertising. OPAL's focus, they claim, is purely on secure, encrypted communication.
And the integration is critical here too, presumably.
Absolutely. It bundles voice, video, and text messaging, sure. But the important part is how it supposedly connects seamlessly with OConnect. making it easy to start a meeting from a chat, and also with OChat for things like customer support integration. The impact they're aiming for here is building a safer digital community. Because everyone is verified via O-Verify, you theoretically know who you're talking to. And because of the ad-free model, you supposedly know your conversations aren't being scanned to sell you stuff. Hashtags, tag, finance, commerce, and trust infrastructure. All right, this next group of tools. This is really the economic engine of the whole OES. It goes beyond just providing digital tools. It's about creating a whole self-contained financial and commercial environment.
Let's kick off with O-Wallet, financial freedom, defined as a secure, AI-powered digital wallet, mainly for managing earnings from within the system. But for a global user base, especially those founders they talk about, the functionality needs to be absolutely top-notch, right? Global payments are complex.
Oh, completely. And the sources detail its functionality pretty clearly. It's things like instant withdrawals, transfers between users, and currency conversions. For a worldwide community, particularly affiliates and founders earning commissions, the main attraction is bypassing the usual friction of traditional banking. The delays, the high fees, especially for cross-border stuff, that's the core value proposition.
And its role seems unique within the ecosystem's financial model, too. It's not just a wallet. It's the wallet that facilitates commission payouts directly from ONPASSIVE's own revenue streams. That really makes it the financial backbone for the whole operation, doesn't it?
It does. And this is where they say the AI integration comes in again. The AI within O-Wallet supposedly tracks commission earnings constantly, ensuring calculations are real-time and transparent, even if you have multiple income streams coming in. Security is obviously paramount. They talk about multi-layer security, biometrics possibly, and, crucially, that deep integration with O-Verify. You apparently can't even use O-Wallet unless your identity is verified through O-Verify. This aims to create a kind of closed-loop financial system where, theoretically, transparency and security are pushed to the maximum.
Okay, the financial impact managing money globally without huge fees, that sounds like real empowerment. But it immediately brings up the massive challenge of regulation. You're essentially acting as a global payment processor. How did the sources suggest the OES is tackling compliance across dozens, maybe hundreds, of different international financial rules?
Yeah, the sources are a bit light on the super specific regulatory details for each country. That's often the case in pre-launch materials. But they consistently point to the global OKYC system, O-Verify, as their strategic compliance tool. The argument seems to be, by verifying every single user's identity globally to a high standard, they establish a strong foundation for regulatory trust. They position themselves as a system that proactively fights things like money laundering and fraud because of this built-in proprietary ID system.
Right. Let's transition directly to that foundation then. O-Verify. The trust builder. Why is this global OKYC ONPASSIVE Know Your Customer system considered so essential? And how does it plan to verify identity more effectively than, say, established banks or even government systems in some cases?
Well, Verify is presented as the absolute linchpin. It's what allows them to make that claim of security without compromise. Its core purpose is simple but huge. Verify the identity of every single person using the ecosystem. Why? To protect against fraud, scams, fake accounts, duplicate accounts, basically, all the stuff that plagues the relatively anonymous internet.
But hold on, removing anonymity online, that raises its own set of massive challenges, right? Logistically, ethically. People value privacy. What level of identity verification are we actually talking about here? Is it just email or something much deeper?
We're talking potentially quite deep integration with government-issued IDs, maybe biometrics. The goal seems to be creating a single, verified, essentially unchangeable digital ID for each person within the ONPASSIVE ecosystem. The sources really stress that this is how they eliminate the risk of bad actors poisoning the well, so to speak. From a business perspective, this means every customer you interact with via OConnect or who buys from your OShop is supposedly a real verified individual. That level of guaranteed identity, if they can achieve it reliably and ethically, would fundamentally change the game for digital trust. And if O-Verify provides that trust layer, then OShop, the global marketplace, is the commerce platform built right on top of it.
Okay, OShop, the unified e-commerce platform for buying and selling pretty much anything, physical goods, digital services. The big claim is that it makes selling globally super simple. How do its integrated features supposedly beat what's already out there, like Shopify or Amazon Marketplace?
The main pitch for OShop seems to be avoiding the usual headaches of cobbling different tools together. It apparently has its own built-in marketing tools. So the idea is you don't necessarily need separate Google Ads or Facebook campaigns managed elsewhere. It also includes CRM customer relationship management features built in, and critically, it integrates directly with O-Wallet for instant payments and with O-Tracker for detailed sales analytics.
So the impact they're aiming for is essentially democratizing global e-commerce. By providing all the tools a business, even a small one, needs marketing, sales, analytics, payments, all prepackaged and ready to go. So small businesses could potentially go global instantly, without the usual complexity, external fees, and technical setup nightmares.
That's exactly the pitch. Removing those barriers to entry for global commerce. Hashtag Ginsity. Automation, security, and analytics.
All right, moving on to operational efficiency. We've got OCHAT, AI-powered support. Described as a smart chatbot, a virtual assistant for businesses. We've seen tons of chatbots lately, some good, some not so good. What makes OChat supposedly different?
Well, most chatbots you encounter are pretty basic, right? They follow fixed scripts. If you ask something unexpected, they just break. OChat, according to the sources, is designed as a learning system. Its functionality is meant to include actively learning from interactions and adapting to customer behavior patterns over time. So it identifies common questions, understands nuances in how people ask things, supports multiple languages, and provides instant responses that should theoretically get better and more relevant with every conversation it has.
That sounds like it would need a massive amount of training data. Is the learning just within the one business using it, or does it tap into intelligence from the whole OES network?
The sources suggest the intelligence is aggregated from across the entire ecosystem, but the application, the specific answers it gives, are tailored to the individual business. So the idea is that every business using OChat benefits from the collective learning the patterns, the effective responses from the whole ONPASSIVE network. This could potentially reduce the long training time usually needed for sophisticated enterprise chatbots. The impact: giving businesses potentially very good 24/7 support, which could significantly cut down the need for large human customer service teams and the associated costs.
Oh, wait, now for a really crucial piece. Operational security. O virtual. Secure digital access. How does this actually protect the user? What does it do beyond just standard encryption, which lots of services offer?
OVirtual sounds like it acts as the main security gatekeeper for the entire ecosystem. Think of it like a centralized single sign-on or SSO layer. Its job is to protect all your logins and data using advanced encryption methods. By funneling access to all 8 OES tools through this single, verified, thanks to O-Verify, and heavily encrypted gateway, the aim is to eliminate the common risks. Things like phishing attacks or account hijacking that happen when people are trying to manage dozens of different logins across insecure sites. Right? Think of it like a super secure front door for your entire digital office. O-Verify checks your ID to let you approach the door, and O-Virtual is the unbreakable lock on that door. Once you're authenticated, O-Virtual ensures that everything you do across the whole platform is protected. The benefit for users is huge, potentially. No more juggling countless passwords, no more worrying as much about breaches happening at one of 50 different vendors you use.
Got it. And finally, the intelligence pillar, O-Tracker, data-driven growth. This is positioned as an analytics tool on par with enterprise systems. How does its functionality really compare to something dominant like, say, Google Analytics? And how does this AI recommendation engine actually work?
So O-Tracker does the basics. Tracks website visitors, conversions, customer behavior, standard stuff you'd expect from an analytics tool. But the claimed competitive edge comes from its deep integration. It pulls data not just from website visits, but also directly from O-Shop sales and even O-Connect engagement metrics. This provides, or aims to provide, a truly unified view across all your marketing, sales, and communication efforts within the OES.
And the AI recommendations, what does that look like in practice?
The sources claim the AI uses predictive modeling based on that integrated data. So for example, if O-Tracker notices that customers on O-Shop who also attended a certain type of O-Connect webinar convert 30% better, the AI would then supposedly recommend specific actions, maybe targeted email campaigns using ONPASSIVE's tools, or specific prompts for OChat to try and replicate that success with other customer segments. The big deal here is granting small businesses access to that kind of sophisticated predictive analytics, apparently at no extra cost, and making the insights immediately actionable within the same ecosystem. Okay, so we've looked at the individual pieces, the 8 pillars. Now we need to pull back and synthesize what the sources say are the 5 key factors that supposedly elevate the OES from just a collection of decent tools into this magnificent empire they keep talking about.
Right. Let's start with maybe the most technically challenging one. One, Total integration. This isn't just about having all the apps on one dashboard. It's about the deep system architecture, how they actually talk to each other. How do the sources address the sheer difficulty of building a central database, a unified front end that can handle all these incredibly different functions, video, finance, e-commerce, without constant compatibility nightmares? That's where integrations usually fail.
That's a key point. The sources really emphasize that the architecture is entirely proprietary. It was built from the ground up, specifically for this purpose. They claim this avoids the common problems you see when companies try to stitch together lots of third-party tools, legacy system issues, broken APIs, all that technical debt. The claim is that because every single tool, from OConnect right through to OWallet, was designed from the start to use the same core data language and structure, they just work together perfectly. This supposedly eliminates compatibility issues, the need for multiple logins, and all that friction when data has to move between systems.
That structural integrity, if true, would be absolutely essential.
Okay, moving to factor two. 2. AI at the core. We've established AI is everywhere in the system, but what's the strategic difference between just having some smart features in each tool versus having an entire AI-driven ecosystem?
It's really the difference between simple automation and genuine prediction, or at least that's the goal. Yes, the AI automates repetitive tasks. That makes things easier. We get that. But strategically, it's about enabling predictive decision-making for the user and maybe even for the platform itself. By analyzing all that data flowing through OTracker, OChat, OConnect, the system attempts to actually anticipate user needs or upcoming market shifts. For example, the sources suggest the AI could preemptively allocate more server power if it predicts a surge in OConnect usage for a major event. Or maybe suggest a hot new product category for your OShop based on trending searches across the entire network. It's meant to be an underlying intelligence layer that makes the whole suite constantly learn and optimize itself over time. Okay, that leads us straight into the core incentive structure. 3. Financial empowerment. This seems to be where the business model really tries to separate itself from traditional software subscriptions or typical affiliate programs. Let's dig deeper into how people actually earn money in this system.
Right, this mechanism is what underpins that whole zero competition space idea we talked about. Founders and affiliates supposedly earn directly from the ecosystem's overall growth. This comes through commissions, which are generated from product sales within the platform, and also from the recurring fees paid by users. The financial structure is designed, or claimed to be designed, for total transparency, with real-time calculation and payouts happening directly via that OWallet.
But what are the specific streams? How does it add up to these multiple income streams that they say can sustain an empire?
The sources generally detail 3 main ways: income flows, all apparently managed automatically through OWallet, and linked to your unique affiliate ID. First, direct product sales. So, commissions you get from products or services you personally sell or refer people to buy on OShop, pretty standard. Second, affiliate or referral bonuses. These are commissions generated from the activity of the network of people you bring into the ecosystem. Again, fairly standard affiliate model. But the third one is potentially the most different: residual income from ecosystem growth. This is described as getting a share of the overall platform revenue based on your status, like being a founder, and how active your network is. And critically, the sources emphasize that the AI-driven system is supposed to automatically generate customers for the affiliates. This means even people who aren't master marketers might still have a chance to earn. This is meant to reinforce that collaboration model.
If the platform genuinely generates customers for its users automatically, I mean, that is arguably the most disruptive claim of all. That removes the single biggest hurdle for most new entrepreneurs: finding customers.
If it works as described, it could create a kind of self-sustaining economic loot, fueled by massive, verified global adoption. Which brings us neatly to factor 4. 4. Unmatched security. We touched on O-Verify and O-Virtual, but let's synthesize how they supposedly work together to make the system fundamentally more secure than the current decentralized internet. It's presented as a 2-layer defense. First, O-Verify handles identity authentication, establishes who you are. This is meant to create a high-trust network by removing anonymity, which they argue dramatically cuts down the risk of fake identities, scams, all the stuff common in online commerce. Then, O-Virtual provides the access protection. It secures what you do once you're inside. By forcing everyone through identity checks and securing all access via that centralized proprietary SSO system, they aim to close the common security holes. Holes that exist because right now our data is spread across dozens of different vendors, each with its own potential weaknesses.
Right. So when you combine users, are real people with data access that's heavily protected,
Yeah.
you could indeed create a genuinely secure environment for doing business online. Okay, the final differentiating factor. 5, global accessibility. For a system aiming for global dominance, this has to be more than just translating the interface, right?
Oh, absolutely. Accessibility here seems to mean two key things, according to the sources. First, yes, deep multi-language support built right into the core communication tools like OConnect and OChat, not just surface level. Second, and perhaps more important for global reach, is optimization for low bandwidth regions. They seem to recognize that in many developing markets, high-speed, reliable internet isn't a given. So the OES is apparently engineered to be efficient, to use less data, making it premium in its features, but still usable and affordable in places where competitors' heavy, data-hungry platforms might struggle. And that combination of affordability and low-bandwidth optimization is really key to the whole Empire strategy. It's about potentially capturing huge markets that are currently underserved by typical high-cost, high-bandwidth Western tech platforms.
Okay, so the picture the sources paint is one of huge anticipation. They're literally calling the upcoming global launch a digital earthquake, one of the biggest tech events, potentially, of 2025. This isn't just software rolling out, it's framed as launching a whole new global digital economy.
Yeah, and that kind of scale requires a very careful, methodical rollout,
Okay.
which is why the sources detail this specific launch timeline. Right now, we're supposedly in the pre-launch phase. That means intense technical checks, security audits, final integration testing of all those 8 core pillars working together. After that comes early access. This is where the founders, the early adopters, get the first crack at using the live ecosystem, testing it, providing feedback, and then finally the global launch, opening it up to everyone worldwide.
The excitement among those founders seems really high, but okay, beyond just being first in line, what specific benefits do these early adopters actually get? Why are they so crucial to this launch?
They apparently get 3 key advantages designed to be long-term. First, exclusive early benefits. These seem related to their commission structures and their position in the network as the ecosystem starts its rapid growth phase.
Hmm.
Second, and this sounds like the big one, lifetime advantages. The sources mention special privileges, possibly things like permanently discounted fees on using the tools, or maybe higher payout percentages on commissions compared to people who join later. Third, they get to build out their foundational network before the floodgates open globally. They can leverage the company's big marketing push to quickly expand their referral base. They're really positioned or encouraged to see themselves as partners in creating this thing, not just as end users.
And the projected numbers for the first years, they are genuinely staggering. They definitely support that earthquake metaphor. The sources are anticipating potentially millions of new users signing up in just the first 90 days after the global launch.
Right, and that kind of rapid adoption is seemingly predicated on activating that large existing founder community all at once. They've already built networks. Plus, the simultaneous rollout of those automated marketing tools we discussed, driving new signups. That sheer scale is what's needed to fuel the commerce side. They project thousands of businesses joining OShop quickly, wanting access to that large, verified user base for both B2B and B2C sales. And then there's the financial metric that really underlines the ambition. O-Wallet potentially processing billions in transactions within the first year.
Wow. Processing billions through O-Wallet, that requires not just incredible technical stability, but also immediate, widespread operational trust from users globally. That kind of financial velocity absolutely depends on flawless real-time integration between O-Wallet, O-Verify for security, and that complex global commission structure. Any hiccup there could be catastrophic.
Absolutely. A failure in any one of those critical integration points could seriously jeopardize the entire financial proposition, which is precisely why, according to the sources, this pre-launch phase is so laser-focused on rigorous testing, particularly around security and the connectivity between those core financial and identity components.
Okay, so if you're listening to this and maybe you're a founder already, or you're just someone thinking about using this ecosystem when it launches, the sources actually provide some specific steps for success, advice on how users can prepare right now. And it sounds like this preparation needs to be strategic, not just waiting around.
Yes, preparation is definitely framed as paramount. The first step is apparently mandatory. You have to verify your account through O-Verify. Establishing that verified digital identity is the absolute gateway to everything else, the tools, the community, and especially any financial benefits. Second, they stress actively learning the tools now. Don't wait for launch day. Dedicate time to watching tutorials, participating in